Hi everyone, today we'll talk about game development and game design. We won't be writing any code today, more like just see how a game is created from from the beginning. What is the process? What are the roles within a team in a game development studio and so on. So yeah, the process. Then we have roles within game development, and finally I'll talk not that much, probably briefly about game design, because this is what I do, and I'll try to give you some insight on how I do things. This is not definitive of how you should do things and how you should create your game ideas, because this is very personal and differs from one to another. So yeah. Okay, the process of game development. So we have pre-production, production, post-production, marketing. With the marketing, I would have to say that it's not after post-production, more like it starts somewhere between points number 2 and 3. So somewhere around there, you should start advertising your game. Make a website, Facebook page, Twitter page, and so on. So yeah, it's not one after the other. More like the first three are in this specific order. The fifth one is after that. But the marketing can start, whenever. You can even start when you start with the pre-production. But it really depends on the kind of game that you're making. If your game is gonna be developed in about 2 years or 3 years, it's some kind of a huge project, it wouldn't make any sense, to start with the marketing before that, before it's actually done or near completion. Okay, so the first one is pre-production. This phase is focused on the idea and concept development. The goal is generally to create documentation for everyone to understand, so that they can follow it. Once they start the actual development. So this includes mock-up graphics, concept art, development prototypes. Prototyping with Unity is generally quite easy, because you have built-in game objects like spheres and circles and cubes and so on, and you can make a complete prototype of the game and physics without having to deal with any graphics or sprite or animations. You can just test very easily those. Actually, I remember now, in one of the conferences that I went to in the US, there was a company that was doing only that. They were only doing the prototyping of the game in Unity with all the physics and stuff like that, and they just give you the game as is without any graphics or animations, just the physics that you wanted to have. It looked fairly simple, because there was just some shapes, but in fact this is kind of the more hard work from the development standpoint. Then you can experiment, with scenarios, storyline, sample levels, and so on, depending on how further you want to go, how complicated your game is. You can go even further, but normally people are trying to go from this phase to the next phase as quickly as possible. So yeah, the next one is when you actually make the game. It's the main stage of development. All assets and sources are created, including the graphics. So in the previous stage, those were only like mock-ups, like some sample concept artwork. Now is when the animations are created frame by frame, all textures, all assets. And these include game design, graphic design, level design, audio, production, programming, testing, and so on. So all of that is in here, and this is the longest process, I would say, and it's the core of game development. All right, we have post-production. Imagine that your game, you think that it's ready, everything is done, everything is completed, then you have to send it out for some people to test it, because when you write the game, some bugs can appear that you have not seen, or something happens within the game that has not appeared to you, and someone has to fix that as well. So roughly can be described by two sub stages. I read about a bit more, but those are the basic ones. So the alpha is when you've done the code and then the game is tested internally. Most of you may have heard about beta versions, because those are sometimes released to the public. Okay, so I doubt that any of you has tested the game in alpha version, because this is a job for the QA team. So yeah, in the beta, the same process is repeated, but the initial bugs found in the alpha are fixed, and then after that, this whole process is done again, where you fix the bugs, then you send it again to testers, and or release it publicly for a testing as a beta, and then they are fixed, and normally after that the game is released. Marketing, I really don't want to mention anything else about marketing and monetization at this stage. There will be a separate lecture here. It will be in Bulgarian and will not be recorded, but I'll upload a lecture from the CTO of Zariba, which was done a year ago by in a MobCon conference. So you will be able to look that online. If you're here, you have the access to two different lectures that you can watch. All right, so maintenance. Once the game is completed and released, it should be maintained somehow. And here is the time to say that in the past, when a game was released, it was really a lot harder to maintain. I remember times where there wasn't even internet, or at least I didn't have access at all. And once you have the game and you play it on your Game Boy or your, I don't know, Nintendo or something, you normally buy some kind of a disc, or I don't know. They look like floppies, some of them. Just different type of carrier, like CDs and so on. It will be really hard to maintain it this way. So normally, if a game after the beta or after it was released had any bugs, it would remain with them. And this is why some very old games like Sonic, the original one, like Mega Man and so on, they are popular even now, because people are so good that they know the bugs and they try to exploit them, which is going to aid them in beating the game faster. I'm sure that some of you have seen speedruns online. This is what they do, and these bugs are still unfixed, and this kind of makes the game a bit more interesting. Gives some touch to it that you wouldn't normally be able to get. If everything is perfect, there would be nothing to exploit, and this adds a bit more, makes the game a bit more interesting in some cases. If the bug is some horrible one that breaks the game and so on, then it's not gonna be fun. But these days the games are normally online. They're very complex, they're huge, they're developed by very, very big studios, and they're constantly updated. So this is another thing where you can release a game at the beginning. It cannot be absolutely perfect, so you fix it with one of the next versions or one of the next releases, which happens very, very easily these days. But I would like to just mention a couple of games that did that. So it was released initially as a very, very simple game, and after that, some new features, some new levels, new races, and so on were done. So I think Heroes 3 is a really good example. Have all of you played Heroes 3 at some point of your life? No? So this is a strategy game that this is a strategy game, turn-based, top down. I wouldn't say 3D by any means, but top down, like the original GTA 2 in terms of the bird's eye view. So yeah, at the beginning, Heroes 3 was a really good game, amazing. Had a lot of strategy, races, buildings, units, battles, and so on. Um, but it didn't have that much content. Then came out, I think the second one was Armageddon's Blade. Then there were two more versions, and the last one, how was it called? The last version of Heroes 3. I remember there was like Reign of Chaos or something, and then there was another one. Shadow. Yeah, I don't remember, but we can check that very, very quickly. In the end, the final version had, I think, at least 10 or 100 times more, content in it, like races, enemies, units, battles, and stuff like that. It was, if you look at the first game, the Might and Magic. Actually, let's open up Heroes 3. Um, this is Ubisoft. No, I wanted to open something like a Wikipedia. Different versions. This is Might and Magic HD Heroes 3 games list. I don't know. Maybe that's gonna find it. Sorry? Heroes 3 list of expansions. Heroes Chronicles, Restoration, yes, Shadow of Death. So okay, I think Wake of Gods was the final one. I'm not really sure, but yeah, it adds 2 tons of stuff. No, it's even here. I know if you can see it. So where is that? Where's my zoom it? Yay. So yeah, says it here. But yeah, a lot more content, and then the original one was a lot simpler. So this was my point, as the game development and generally technologies like internet and so on, as they became more advanced, it was a lot easier to just update your game. Same goes for Diablo. Diablo 2 here. I did not write that, but that's what I'm talking about. It had an expansion pack, which had a lot of new things, two new hero types, a whole new world, which was the fifth one with how was it called? Was it called Baal, the final boss? Yeah. And then there was version 1.09 of that, and then in 1.10 they added a huge number of weapons, I think, and it made the game more interesting for others to play, because you can find some really cool items. Same goes for Dota. So Dota and now Dota 2, they're updated every couple of months, I would say, depending on the update. They add new heroes, features, balance fixes, and so on. And for a game like that, balance is key. And if you would have released it and then left it as is, it wouldn't be really good, because it could not be balanced. There could be some hero that's really overpowered, and it would make the game just no good. But if you've seen the Dota 2 change logs, they change stuff like strength per level or mana per level by 0.01, and balance there is like very key. Same goes for League of Legends, World of Warcraft, and I'm sure that you can think of many games that have that. One of my favorite games that I didn't list here is The Binding of Isaac. So it was originally done in Flash, as a Flash game, and this posed many limitations, but then it was released, I think about 9 months ago, maybe. I don't think it's been a year, maybe a year, I don't know. About 9 months ago it was released, and it was rewritten with C++ in a proper engine that I don't know which one it is, but it was rewritten, better graphics, 200 more items, and so on. And it was rewritten so that the developers can add more and more, and there is an expansion pack coming up. Yeah. Any questions about this here? Anyone would like to add something or? Right. All right, so now we are up to roles within game development, meaning, and here I would really like to stress that imagine the biggest game development studio or company. The roles here are separated in such a way that you would have to think about a bigger studio, because there are studios of like 2, 3, 5, 6 people, and all of the roles here are a bit more. And in a small studio, normally people take more than one role within a smaller game studio. But I'll talk about that in a bit as well. So we have producer, also known as project manager, project lead, director. So this is the person that manages the development team, reports progress, hires staff, PR, negotiation, QA, beta testing. He can even be responsible or manage the graphics, development, depending on his expertise. This is the guy that just manages the team, sets the tasks, sets deadlines as well in some cases. Really depends on the team. Publisher is a company that publishes games, and they can be either developed by the same company, or someone else could have contacted them. Say there is an independent developer that has created an awesome game, and he doesn't have any idea how to publish it, how to market it, and so on. He normally turns to a publisher. So say that you make some awesome game, you can contact EA Games and ask them, or many other companies, for them to publish your game, which automatically is going to make it somewhat successful, because they're a huge game. They have many fans, and everything that they publish is going to be played, or at least is going to be marketed properly, so that you can get as many people to play it as possible. Normally when someone gives his game to a publisher, the way they share the revenue, meaning that okay, so you've written the code, everything is with you, but we can bring clients to your game that are gonna pay, and for this we would like to get some percentage of the total winning. So this is how it works. Zariba, by the way, is a publisher as well, and there were some games. I really don't know how many. You can ask that next time in the lecture when Roddy is here. You can ask how many games have been published which are not written within the company. I think there are quite a few, and it just works with a revenue share as well. Okay, then we have within the development team, and I still don't know, in my computer these are fine, but here they are not, and I have no idea why. Alright, so now we're up to the development team. So the previous was like high management, stuff like that. The development team consists of quite a few different types of experts. So we have the game designer, or just designer. When you say designer in game development, this is a bit ambiguous, because is it a graphic designer, is it a sound designer, is it animations designer? I don't know. So normally you would meet it with game in front of it. So this is the person that comes up with a game idea, designs the gameplay, the physics, the general feel of the game. Then we have artist and graphic designer, the person who creates the artwork, sprites, backgrounds, animations. It really depends on the kind of person you have on your team, but that's what they do. They basically draw stuff all day, and they like it as well. Okay, then we have programmer, software engineer. This is what this academy is for, or at least some part of it inside here. So this is the person that develops, writes the code, Sometimes test the games as well. So as you write it, you have to be able to test it so that you can give a semi-finished product in the end to the QA team. There are different types of programmers. So there is, specifically for physics, AI, graphics, with the animations, which one moves where and so on. Especially in Unity, developers that write, physics wouldn't be very good at making, some kind of a complex 3D character move, all of its bones and joints and so on. That'll be hard for a different type of developer. Then we have sound, gameplay, UI, input processing, network communication. So let's say that a big game like World of Warcraft, it has a server, these kinds of connections, network has to be handled, and it has to be handled efficiently so that the game is fluid, easy to play, and so on. Also game tools. So in something like Unity, maybe you will need a specific package that someone needs to develop for your game. It really depends. He can also research, engines or frameworks or something that you were gonna use and build up something that's gonna work just for your specific game. Then we have level designer, which is fairly close to game designer, but this guy, which is up here, he's he's the guy with the main idea, and then after that there can be people that he tells what parts need to be done further, like generally this is level design or some additional features or something. He just tells them the idea and they have to do the work. Say if you have to create 100 levels which are similar to the first level, which is already created by the game designer, then you would give it to level designers and you would tell what you want them to do. So yeah, these can be challenges, missions, stuff like that within the game. Then we have sound engineer. Actually, in Zariba there used to be a sound engineer, but right now there are huge libraries online where you can find it, or if you need something specific, you can always hire someone like a freelancer to do the job for this specific game. And then testing and QA. So this is a very responsible job. So analyzing the game, reports bugs, make sure that the game works. It is according to the original design, and it's playable, it's fun. He can give suggestions on what can be done further with the game. Actually, in the same conference, I met a company in the UK. The guy was really nice, and he told me that the only thing they do is just test games. And I was right. So do you report bugs or something like with the code on which line, how to test it? No, he said no, we just test the games, as in like play them, and we can give you feedbacks on what is not working right, or if there has to be anything added, just like a proper gamer that would just you would just give them games and they would play it and then they just give you feedback. Normally these people are very, very good at what they do and they don't focus on the code. Just I don't like this about this game because I've played a million more, and there are features that I liked more. But QA engineers in other companies, and when you have a QA team, they analyze a bit further the game, the code, what can be fixed, and report bugs. There is a bug system within some projects and so on. I think I have friends which are QA engineers, not within a game development studio, but they told me that the most interesting thing about testing is making your own automated tests. Like if you have a website, you make a robot that is gonna click at different places, see what's gonna break, so that you don't have to repeat that every time. So yeah, okay. Here are a bit some notes that I wanted to add, but there wasn't space in here, so I added it in a separate slide. In most cases, not all roles within a team are carried out by different people, what I mentioned at the beginning. It really depends on the complexity and the type of games that you're making. So, for example, there are lots of independent developers now, and independent studios as well, which generally consist of 1 to 6 people. And this say that it's just a single person. He has to be able to do pretty much everything on the spectrum of game development that I just talked about. And normally, if he needs help with something, like normally he's either a developer or an artist. If they need help with the development or with the drawings, they can contact or hire someone from outside. But then he has to do everything, right? So the animations, the sounds, the testing, and so a lot of things. And I've actually met one person. He was in here about a month or 2 ago. He was making a mobile game, which I can only describe as being similar and really good as it was for as Diablo 2 is. So you walk around, you kill enemies, they randomly come at you. It was a really fun game, and he did everything with it. So it's like a proper 3D Unity game for mobile. And it turned out that he did everything. He did the graphics, the development, all the algorithms and stuff, and he was just looking for a publisher. And the game was actually really good, both in terms of controllers, how you play it, and the graphics were really good as well. And he was probably the only person that I'll ever see again that can do all of that. So normally it's either you were good at development, maths, physics, AI and stuff, or you can draw really well. He could do all of that, and I was quite impressed. So yeah, most but not all independent developers and studios, they contact publishers. And the reason for that is you really can't know and can't do anything. So developing the game is one thing, marketing, monetization, deployment, publishing, those are things which are very different, and they require a different kind of expertise. And this is why normally they contact it or publish it externally. This is why Steam right now is very popular for independent developers, because once you publish your game with them, then it's available, they market it, they have a huge market base, and it's a lot easier. Instead of having to contact people and so on, they have a system where you can upload your game and so on. And if it's a good game, this is all you need for you to make money, which is why most people work anyway, I guess. I don't know. All right, so that was it about the development team and everything that I wanted to say about the game development in general, roles within the companies, how the whole process works and is put together. Are there any questions on the topic? No? No one? Moving on. All right. Game designing is what I do in my studio, Fractal Games. And this is not the only thing I do. I also help with coding. I overlook the graphics and just the general idea. So it's like I'm like a mix between a game designer and a project manager. So somewhere there, in between. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that because it's not straightforward, all right? So if someone can draw, they can just draw the game. If someone can write code, they will probably struggle a bit, but they will write the game following some algorithms, some knowledge that they have. But game design is a very creative process, I think. And I could not give you a formula on how should you do that, or how should you generate an idea, but I can give you some insights on how I do it, and then maybe you can find something that works for you, which is either similar or just a couple of things that I do when I have to come up with with some games for my project. And yeah, this is pretty much that on the slide. So these are the basic ones, and I do believe that if you follow these, some ideas can be generated, but it's not for everyone. All right, this is one thing to mention. Even if you follow all of these, you may not be able to come up with a game at all that you like, or that you want to play, or that you want to develop. So yeah, it's definitely not for everyone. Above all, you need to be a gamer and love games. So this is a must. You don't have to be a developer. You don't have to know code. You don't have to know how to draw. You just have to love games and play games. This is the most the important thing. You should focus on what you like and what you don't like in the games you play. So once you identify what you like and what you don't like, then you can create your idea based off someone else. And as it says in the next point, the resulting game may be completely different from the original game. So you take some idea, then you say, well, I like this, I don't like this, I can change this and that, and in the end it could be a completely different game, and no one would know that you've taken the idea from somewhere else. Furthermore, it's very hard to create a game that is completely original, completely different from anything else. And I'm pretty sure that most games in the past, say 10 years, they have taken ideas from somewhere else, but because of the advances in technology, engines, languages for development, and so on, in the end, it looks like a completely different game, and you wouldn't know that the idea wasn't original. So yeah, very, very difficult task, and the one way that you can try is brainstorming, and I would really like to talk a little bit more about brainstorming. So how many of you know what brainstorming is? Okay, how many of you have actually done real brainstorming? 2 out of the 5 that raised hands. Okay, so I really wanna stress that this is a really good process for generating ideas. And even then, your idea can be not that original. And we have a very fresh example. So after the lecture on Monday, we sat here for about, I think, 2 more hours, and we were trying to decide what kind of a game would we like to make in this course with Phaser. And it was a pretty random, I think, idea, something that you wouldn't think that someone else has done. And we actually found something which it will not look similar, but the general idea was very, very close to what we are gonna do. And this should not bother you at all, because in the end, what makes the game different is the physics, the animations, the graphics. So it's gonna be a completely different game. But the main idea, or where we started from with the scenario and so on, it was very, very close to something that was online. And I think none of us have heard this game that was online. And the ideas that were generated here, they were generated by like I don't know, 15, 16 people. So combining all of that, we came up with an idea that's already done similarly by someone else. So this should not bother you at all. I think the most important thing with the game is not whether it's original or not, or the execution, or actually what you add, as different touches to the game, whether it will be graphics, some weird physics, something interesting that's gonna make it different and unique from everything else. Right. Also, you have to read a lot, right? So if you're not gonna be the guy that comes up with the game, develops it, and so on, if you have a team of good people, they will make the development, art, sounds, and so on. They will carry about that. You have to read a lot. You have to play a lot of games. You have to research, new titles, engines, articles, companies. What are they doing? What's coming up? What are people excited about? All that information can generate you, new ideas for games. And I just want to quickly check my other, yeah, this is the homework. There are a couple of more things that I want to say here. So how do I come up with ideas? So I'll talk about brainstorming in a bit, which is a very popular technique. What I tend to do is I search for similar games to the ones that I want to have in my platform, because we are making a puzzle slash board slash math game platform. I search for similar games, and I only read a couple of words from the description of each. Okay, so I only read a couple of words, then I stop reading, the full description and gameplay, or just don't look at any pictures. Just read a couple of words of the description, and I let my mind, imagine what this game would look like with only a couple of a couple of words in my head as an association generation. So I create an association with a couple of words, how it would look in my head, and then after I've created this image of a game, then I look at the details of the specific game, and sometimes it turns out that the game that I imagine is a completely different game from what it's described there. But just because I chose to only look for a couple of keywords, then I generated an idea of my own. Most of the times, well, I wouldn't say most of the times, but it's a 50-50 whether that game would be the same as the one that it's there listed, or it's not. Specifically for my project, I was looking through maths books about interesting paradoxes, about different math games and so on. And when you read through theorems and examples and just mathematical problems, an idea about a similar game can be generated as well, which is not available because it's math. Who would create games for math? That horrible person. But yeah, so this is very project specific, but you can do the same thing with your own project or game idea. Just look for similar tags, similar game titles. Then read just a couple of words and let your imagination do some work for you, and in the end you could have a really good game idea. The one that's more popular, I think, is brainstorming. So brainstorming is the process where I'll describe it very, very briefly, and this is again personally how I think about it. But you let your mind free of all thoughts that you have which are not connected to your game, and then you start thinking about a game, and any idea that comes into your mind, you write it down on a piece of paper or on a file or whatever you want. It doesn't matter if it's really, really stupid. You just start writing or typing, right? And then you can have 10, 20, 100 ideas, 200 ideas. Maybe all of them are really, really stupid, but you really have to get yourself into this mode of just typing any idea that comes into your mind. And after some point, you will start to generate some good ideas, some really, really cool ideas, and in between them there will be like 10 or 20 or 50 which are really bad ones. But then in the end you have a list to select from, which is the most important thing. So after you've created a list of 500 game ideas, which are I think they sound a lot, and they are a lot. I'm just exaggerating here, but let's say that you have a list of 30 games. Okay, you only need one of them to be really good, right? If it's not good, then you keep doing that, then you come back, reassess, this game can be good, this game can be good, and do that over and over again until you are happy with the result. So let's say that you've selected something like 5 or 10 games that you want to do in the future. You're able to select or think about or research more which one would be the game for you to make. Or in my case, I just had to select a lot of games, and that's what we are doing now. So when I was doing that brainstorming along with the books, reading the other technique that I shared, I was able to write about 100 games, of which I selected 20 I still keep all of my ideas though. But I managed to select 20. Of them, I selected the first five that I thought were gonna be really good or gonna be done relatively quickly, and that's what we are doing in Fractal Games right now. We just follow those 5, 6 games that we wanna have for our initial release. One of them turned out to be quite hard to implement, so some of them are a lot easier. But yeah, so this is how I do it. I'm not saying that this is the only way. Most of the time, also a game would just strike me as I'm doing something, as I'm just walking or online. I just think about different things, and then an idea for a game, just strikes me down, and I just start typing it, or make some notes about it, because I would forget in a couple of hours or maybe tomorrow. So yeah, this is how I do game designing. Remember that you can do game designing of any sorts. Games are not just computer or mobile games. Very recently, escape rooms have become very, very popular. This is also a type of game. So any kind of game can come into your mind. It's not just it's not just like a video game, like a computer game that you can come up with. There are also card games like Magic the Gathering. Also, what was that? Yu-Gi-Oh. Also board games, Monopoly and so on, before they were put online as apps and PC games and so on. It was just a board. You can generally create a game just with a pen and paper. To be honest, you don't have to have all of the assets and think about programming straight away and so on. It can be a very just game design in general is a very broad aspect. You can come up with games for pretty much anything. So yeah, would anyone like to join in, add something, or ask a question about this, or no, or should I give you some time? Yes, there is a question.
What do you do when you run out of ideas, or just block and
The question is, what do you do when you run out of ideas, or just block, or yeah, I would say rinse and repeat. So start reading, go online, browse a couple of games, play a bit more, take a break, a couple of minutes, maybe an hour or two, maybe one day. Just stop doing that for a second, and once you've tuned your brain into thinking about games and seeing games everywhere you go, then as soon as you've stopped, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes away, when you're not thinking at all about games, then an idea can strike you. These are things that happen. If you really run out of ideas, I would do that. Just take a break, read online. Actually, one time when I had to think of, I don't remember, was it level design or a new simple game, or I don't remember. But I was looking through Engadget.com. This is a website about tech information, laptops, mobile phones, and so on. So I was reading through it, and just out of nowhere, where I was reading something completely unrelated, I came up with an idea. So I stopped, I went back, I wrote down, then I went on browsing. I went on YouTube. I watched some movie trailers that I want to watch, or and then I get some more ideas. You never know when this is gonna happen. You can sometimes force it with brainstorming, or other techniques, but sometimes you wouldn't know when an idea is gonna hit you. So you just have to, I think, tune your brain into thinking into that direction, because I've been doing this for about 9 months now. Before that, I wasn't even into programming or game development in general. I was just a gamer, right? I once tried to make a list of the games that I've played, and it was definitely more than 500 titles that I've seriously played. No ones that I've just played once or twice. Um, but I never thought, of at that point. I was never into, generating ideas for games, right? I had different ideas about businesses and startups and products. Very very different ideas about generally startups. And once I tuned my brain into games and development and algorithms and programming and concept arts and stuff like that, then you just change the direction of where your ideas and how they come to you. I think so. Yeah. If currently you're thinking about something else, or you're working something else, that then maybe you haven't tuned your brain into this specific direction. And I'm only saying this because this is the case. And before I started actually working this, I didn't have any ideas for games. I had ideas for apps, one or two, but never games. And it was really interesting change from ideas about startups to ideas about games. It was an interesting change. Any other questions that you may have? Yes, no. I'm gonna pause, since this is a discussion that I'm trying to bring, and there is only one person asking questions. So I'll stop that here, and I'll get back to you in a sec. I honestly forgot to show you something, and since we are already talking about game design, I did not mention, but I think it's written somewhere around here. Game design, yeah. So the game idea, your job is coming up with the game idea, but it's also your job to present it in a clear way, concise way, so that your team can understand, and they can start doing their job. Whether that would be graphics, whether that would be development, algorithms, whatever you want to have. Just you have to be able to communicate your ideas with others, so that they can do their job. And this is really really important, because if you have, it can be the best idea in the world, and let's say that you're not one of these very very few people that can draw, program, and so on. You would have to be able to explain it to someone. If you cannot, either by a document or verbally, however you want, if you're not able to do that, your coolest game is going to be only in your head, and no one is ever going to be able to play it, or test it, buy it, and so on. So communicating your ideas is very very important, and a huge part of that is the GDD that I mentioned earlier. And earlier I wanted to show you some examples of GDDs, just so that you can have a look, see what I require from you in your teamwork project. So the first one that I have was written by a person that works in Zariba now. So this is called Brain Puzzle. You can look at it online. It's been released a while ago, I think, and it's actually quite a cool game. So first of all, see that this is a a well presented and also well structured document. So we have introduction, proposal, user interface, economy of the game, which is also really important depending on the game that you are going to be doing. And then you have puzzles, which are the different games explained in a way so that once you read it you can understand it. Okay, advertisements. So this is a part now of the monetization, so that has to be in there if you can as well. Then we have art assets list. So I created a similar list for the game that we'll be doing with Phaser, and now the graphic designers follow that. So just with a couple of sentences, I said I would like the style of the game to be this and this. It's similar to this game and this game and this game, but with different characters and so on. But let's say We want to make a 3D first-person shooter with a lot of blood and look kind of realistic and so on. This is an explanation that the graphic designer or artist, they are gonna read, and they're gonna try and think in that specific direction. Another thing, let's say that let's say that you want to make a 2D top-down, I don't know, roguelike game like The Binding of Isaac. You would have to tell, I want this to be pixel art, no very smooth images. I want them to be in this style, give to the player that kind of sense, and so on. So you have to be able to explain what you want, and this is, for me at least, this is especially hard when I have to talk about art and concept arts and graphic design and so on, because I'm really bad at this. I really can't draw in anything, even a house. I find it really hard to draw. So yeah, right. So here we have art assets list and sound assets list, which then the other people can follow, and they can gather all the assets that you need in your game, which are then going to be used by the developers, and so on. So let's have a look, very briefly, and then I'll show you another one, which is a bit more concise. So please know that this is a simple mobile game, and it has 29 pages of GDD, and here most of it is text. There were a couple of pictures, but this is what I'm talking about. It has to be very detailed. If someone ever asks, okay, so I finished this, what should I be doing next, or how should I have done this, or do I have to do something different? They have to be able to open this document and read it, because if let's say a team of 100 people starts asking questions to the game designer because he didn't do his job very well, and the GDD is not very good, then it would just be a waste of time for everyone. Having a place where everything is documented is quite important. Okay, so here we have introduction. Free to play 3D game for Android, iOS, takes players to a fun and catchy world of puzzles. You take on an adventure that will require skill, logic, cleverness, solving puzzles. Okay, so in the introduction we kind of get an idea of what this game is going to be about. Key features, this is good to know. I would add the platforms as well here, because they're quite key for someone to understand the basic concept art. Apparently it hasn't been done. I know of a game that before people even started writing code, there was just concept art for a year and a half or 2 years, and I think I've mentioned it in lectures as well. This is Alice Madness Returns. The original was done in about 1999 or 2000, I don't remember. I really loved it, and 10 years later there was just a screenshot of a new game that can be done, and it was developed. It was released, I think, 2.5-3 years after that. But I know I bought the book about how was it made and so on, and there was a lot of concept art that was never shown, never in game, and they just said in the book that it took them a year and a half of just concept art, prototyping and so on before they even started writing code. So yeah, concept art clearly not here, because Alice Madness Returns is very graphic heavy, and this is what makes the game, I think, good. But yeah, here apparently either it wasn't needed, or it wasn't ready, or it wasn't added at a later stage, or this is just the version that I have with me. Okay, so here we have market analysis, technical analysis, legal, also quite important. Costs, revenue estimations, art. Right. This is now the user interface, where you click, what happens, how many states you have, what kind of assets you need, for the UI, and so on. Once we get to the game, you know, it's a picture here for the menu, I think, for the UI. Yeah, I would think that's it. And right, so I would like to go to the puzzles, which I cannot find. So in-game interface, main menu, restart puzzle. Where was it? I should be able to look up here and just click on the game and puzzles. Alright, puzzle info, unlock costs, puzzle design. Okay, so there, this is one game, just a concept. So once you are a game designer, a picture would really help to the graphical designers. It can be very, very basic, you know, just with some squares, shades, you know, colors, and they're gonna do everything after that. But you know, it will really help to show, you know, how you imagine your ideas. So this is the Tower of Hanoi. So you have to move all of the donuts from the left one to the right one, but you're not allowed to put a larger donut on top of a smaller one. And yeah, okay. Some more information. This is a game that we're actually making right now in Fractal Games with the graphs. But you know, just explanation, short the explanation. You know, screenshots. This is a bit about the economy, what you have to do to achieve a certain level, and so on. You know, all information that you can think and gather about the game has to be here. And I just want to show you one from Disney. Zariba had a joint project with Disney a couple of years back, and I have the GDD for the game. I'm not gonna publish it, and this is, you know, just for educational reasons, so that you can see how a big studio makes its GDD. I'll look through this very, very briefly. So first of all, you can see that there is a lot more information because the game is also, you know, bigger. It also consists of mini games here, which are a lot more. And if we can go to the specific page, which I'll do probably in a second, you see how each one is described with a picture, key features, like in a table view. Very, very easy to read for some, like if there is like a small team for each game, it will be very, very easy, you know, to just go see what you have to do and start working on say prototyping or whatever. There is even cheat codes. How cool is that? Animation, graphics, audio, sounds. I'm not sure, but I think here is missing something like marketing and monetization strategy. It really depends. So you wouldn't be able to find two GDDs which are the same and they have the same type of information in them. Just you know, it depends on the game and on the person that's writing it. So going through this quickly, you see that there are charts, easy to read, easy to follow, a bit more pictures, just explaining the basic concept, and these, they probably weren't drawn by hand, but it sort of looks like it. It was either imitated or something, just to show that this is a concept art. Then some proper screenshots after that. And you see now how, is this still the first game? I think it is still the first game. Or maybe it was part of the bigger game. Let me scroll down. I think they were at page 30 or something. I'm not sure. The different mini games. Okay, so yeah, this is what I mean. You know, a simple game, you know, play, scoring, timer, with a simple screenshot, and then you go on to the next one. Also has all of these, maybe a bit more. You know, we have a goal, controls, play. You know, just a very, very simple explanation with a lot more pictures. Because it's Disney, right? They're very good at, you know, drawing stuff and making films and animations. You know, you would imagine that they have, you know, the resource, power, and creativity to create that kind of mock-ups fairly easily. Right. and you see that this one now is a lot bigger. And imagine now some very huge game like World of Warcraft. And how would you write a GDD about that? You know, there has to be, you know, different type of people that are gonna write the different sections, and even then it's still, you know, a lot of work. But such a document always exists, or is always good to have. And once you've done it, then the development process is going to be sped up, because if you don't do that, then if someone gets confused or does something that they didn't have to do or shouldn't have done, and this could have wasted them month, 2 months, 3 months, while they could have you know, worked on something which is actually by the design of the game designer. And there was a question earlier. Can you repeat that?
Targeting audience, when do we exactly target audience? Before even the idea is made, or after it's made?
Okay, so the question is, when do we assess what the target audience is gonna be? Who are we gonna target with our game? I would say that it's really good if you can do that at the beginning of the project or at the beginning of the game, because if you know what your target is, then you would be able to create the content which is specifically for them. All right. And here is the time to say that when someone asks you what is your target audience or what is your market, if you say everyone, that means that you're wrong. Okay, it's never everyone. It's always, you know, specific types of people, groups, which your game is going to be best for. And you always have to identify your target groups, and, you know, make changes accordingly. So I can, if you remind me once we start doing the game about phaser, I will tell you, you know, who I think will be the target for our game. But you can do that in the end as well. You don't have to think, you know, it's not, well, you can create a really good successful game if you haven't thought about that. Okay, just the fact that you have a good game, it could mean that you are gonna find someone to play it, and there are people that will like it the same as you do, as well. So yeah, I would say, you know, it really depends, but it's good to have the idea of marketing, monetization, target audience. All of that matter to the final product and how is it going to be presented. So with Fractal Games, we have a lot of options for marketing, and we know what they are, and we are trying to, you know, get to the state where we can give a final product to you know, these groups. If that doesn't work, then we can maybe make some changes in the marketing strategy, and we can present it to someone else, right? Without having to do that many changes to the gameplay, graphic design, and so on. It really depends. If you like, the most important thing for, I think, is to believe in your game, in your idea, and like what you're doing, I would suggest that you make a game that you would play, right? Don't just make some games for, you know, for the world. You have to be able to enjoy the game, because this is how you will be able to, you know, tell when something doesn't feel right. Okay, if you're not gonna care about the game that you're making, creating, and thinking of, then it won't be good in the end. So if you believe in your product, if you believe in your game, and you want to make it perfect, so a good attention to detail, then I would think that your game is gonna be successful. Right. Any other questions, or we are fine with game development and game design within a studio? So next time, again, there will be a lecture on marketing and monetization with people that actually do that. I don't do that, so everything that I tell you is from something that I've overheard or read somewhere. Rodi is going to be talking to you. He has a lot of experience with that in general, not just IT, marketing, and, you know, in games, but, you know, in many different areas. So you will be able to ask him, you know, many questions. Right, for those of you watching online, there will be a separate lecture from a conference that was given by the CTO of Zariba, I think 1 year ago, so it's still, I think, very current. Right, so this is the homework. Again, every homework here is going to be optional, but if you want to be a game designer and you've never attempted actually creating a game or a game idea yourself, this is a good way to try. Just come up with an idea for a platform, and this is specifically because I want you to come up with many games to select from. Try to come up with at least 30 mini games. Select only 10 of them which you think are the best. Create a one-page document describing your platform and each game. And now I would like to add, if you want, for the best game, which is like out of those 30, I'm sure that you have a favorite. Try to write another page, something like a similar description from what we saw from Disney, like what would you like to see there, basic controls, stuff like that. You can send your ideas to my email if you want to discuss them, or whether I think it's worth trying to go into just start doing your own freelance project. I'm fine with that. If you don't want to, then I'm absolutely fine as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. For the 5th time, questions, I would guess not. So yeah, I'll see you on Monday.